In this video, I'll be finishing up the breakdown of both the gear card and the event cards so that I can move on to the next thing and pretty much try to keep on track. So, like with pretty much every card, there's an archetype name or a naming system. So, oops. So, like here, you got Blaze Briquettes, that's what it'll be called. You'll have gear that will have different names. So they'll do. Sorry, there was something moving outside my house. So they'll do something that could be better, worse, or a little bit more different, while still having the same name or a similar name. They've got attribute type, and that basically defines what kind of creature can use it. What creatures of the matching archetype can use it. Sometimes it won't be that much of a restriction. I'm trying to figure out how to implement that or put that in. So, but for right now, that's how that works. Like creatures, gear have types. So this particular type of gear is an equipped gear, meaning that you can place it on the creature and it'll be there for the duration of the battle until its usage is up, etc., etc. There's also just basic type of gear that's like a one-time use, and then you've got what I call trigger gear, which is basically just traps. You set them on the field, set them on a space in the field, and once a creature lands on it or once a certain particular thing happens, the player can trigger that. The player can trigger the trigger. Oh, yeah, it is a trigger. So the player can trigger that card, and the effect will go off, and it can defend your creature. It can give your creature more stats. It can give it a different ability. It can do a lot of things. I haven't actually gotten that part cleared out yet, so I'm still working on that. They do have stats, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep that. But if I do, because some gear might not have special abilities, which are down here. But but I think I will keep it. And basically, what stats do is that it just automatically gives that creature a particular boost or even like a reduction in their battle stats. So like this says strike 5, so it'll gain 5 attack points. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do -5 because that might be confusing. The dash thing. I think I'm gonna have to change the dash thing to something else so that the minus isn't confusing. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, so yeah, like creatures, gear have stats. Strike 5, gain 5. If you would have like guard 10, you would gain 10. Range 2, you would gain 2. Or if it said like minus, you'd get less. So there'd be cards where there would be good abilities, but the trade-off would be bad stats, or you'd have good stats, but the trade-off is that you're using up your abilities. So moving on to the abilities, you've got Strike Gain 5, which is basically a stack on top of the other strike up here. Oop, that's my eraser. So up here, you got Strike 5, and then here you got gain 5, so that would be a total of 10 points. But the thing is that since this is an ability, it would have a particular way to be activated, such as during the battle phase. Why do I keep writing over it like you can see it? So during the battle phase, when an ability deals damage, so creatures have abilities that can deal damage rather than just straight up attacking. So if you use an ability and the ability deals damage, the damage is doubled, and once that happens, then you discard the card. Hold on a sec, my throat is killing me. And then it also has another ability where you can gain an extra 10, I keep using the wrong thing. You can gain an extra 10 guard by discarding this card from your creature. Although I should probably specify how long it lasts. But the thing is, well, I guess these abilities kind of like level themselves out, because if you do the damage, then it's doubled, and or if you do the discard, then it's gone. But I want to do a thing where the abilities are optional, so you can only do one or the other instead of both of them at the same time. Some might have that, but what I want to go with is like not having anything be too great, too powerful to the point that like things just scale out of hand during the battle, because that's something I'm really worried about. But other than that, it's got like a series. It's got like a little series. What do you call that? Little series ID thing. It's got the, can't get down there. It's got the name here, 2020 Tamen, and then it's got my name there. It's just to be there. And now I'm going to move on to the event. Alright, so this is the event card, and basically like every other card, you've got the basics, you've got the archetype name. That's smaller. That's weird. You got the archetype name, you got the attributes, you've got the typing. This particular event card is a field card, so it affects it affects all the creatures within the battle, or it'll affect all the creatures within your party or your opponent's party. There's another type of just event, where it's basically, it allows you to do extra actions for your creatures. So I don't really have it completely squared out yet, that's why it's kind of hard to describe it, but basically field would give you status effects, and then events would give you like extra actions and whatnot. But for something I thought of doing at the start of this was making it to where certain rewards and certain consequences happen when you play these cards. Like if your opponent interrupts you during a part of the game where you're supposed to activate an ability, you lose something, and if you successfully do it, then you gain something. I thought that would be a little cool mechanic to put in. I'll explain more of that later when I actually have a card that explains that. So like gear and creatures, it has abilities that it describes what it does. So here, if you were to play the card, you would get a strike and guard gain of 5 for all fire creatures in the party. So in your team, and then the guard loss would be for. I wrote Terra and Aqueous, but now I'm thinking that it should be Verdant and Aqueous, because it makes more sense. This is like a desert area place where there's no foliage, so it wouldn't make sense for Earth to lose anything when it's like a earthy wasteland. But guard loss would be for every creature on the field that is that is Verdant plants. So Verdant is plant, that is Verdant or Aqueous. And that's like a good little dynamic there. And then cards have things that you can do during different phases of the game. So if you had so once you're in the setup phase and you activate this, you'd be able to draw 2 item cards, and if none of the item cards are of the matching element, which is fire, then you would place it back in your deck, you'd shuffle it, and then any creature you summon while this card is on the field that is in Furnace would gain an extra 5 strike. Now, I feel like that's a bit redundant, but at the same time, I feel like I did that for a reason. I'm not sure, so I'll have to look into that. And then there's another one during the battle phase. You would do +5 damage to any verdant plant creatures. Again, I should probably specify Infernus. I was thinking about this in terms of gear, but if it's a field that affects all creatures, I should probably specify that Infernus creatures do the +5 damage. And then in the end phase, because there will be an end phase, nothing really happens, not that I can think of. I didn't want to make every card super spectacular, because then it would be really difficult to kind of design all those, and the game wouldn't be as fun if... I don't know, the game wouldn't be as fun. I don't think so. So I'm erasing all this. I feel like I explained this pretty well. I don't think I did all that good. I could do better, but this is all I have for right now. I am working on some designs. I think I'm gonna just, for right now, I'm just gonna like record myself doing some drawings as I start writing down more of the rules and the rule set. Well, again, I said that twice. Writing down some of the rules, getting out the terminology, explaining the game, the lore, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna get to work on that, and I will see you in the next one.